Well, this boat's taken a whole lot of changes, and as I was about to start sanding the side, I got sidetracked on something else, which we're going to have a conversation about that because I dropped the video last night, or this morning actually, on the progress to everything, and which reiterates about the transom and things like that. But this boat has just taken so much miraculous changes, and this whole concept of blending here and doing this there, and that's pretty much been scrubbed. As of this morning, a conversation came about between Tony and I, and he really likes how clean this carpet came out, even though it's horribly damaged. But I did find out what that goo boo boo is on the carpet. He was out at the lake with the family, and his battery exploded. For whatever reason, his son went to start it up and turned the key on, and it exploded. Dead short in the battery. I've had a battery explode before. It's not a pleasant scene. But there's a back drape here, and he said the only thing that saved his legs was the fact that the drape was down and the battery exploded inside of here. But the thing that could have been really, really bad is the fact that there's a couple of fuel tanks. So the battery actually sits right there. So there's a fuel tank over there and a fuel tank over there, and the battery exploded. That could have ended disastrously, but it did not. So batteries are dangerous things. Well, anyway, so this is going to be probably a whole lot of talking and a whole lot of you're bored to death and everything else and so on there. I really hope not, but there's been some changes. Massive change in plans. Well, we're still going to gel coat all this. It's going to happen, but it's going to happen different than what we thought. Because after my discussion with this whole transom situation, I decided it was time to do a core check and see what's going on in this soft spot over here. So this is a brazing rod, 1/8-inch brazing rod, and it's what I use to check cores because it's kind of like a big old nail. And now I got it in there, I can't get it out. So I push this thing in as far as you can push it. Now this is a way for you to check your transoms. So we're going to just take my handy dandy little Leatherman here, and we're going to pop this guy loose a little bit so I can get him. But if you can stick an 1/8-inch rod that far, which is 8 1/4 inches, and I had Tony and Hillary on the phone, his wife. She's a nut too, let me tell you what. I told her I stuck this rod in 8 1/4 inches, and she... yeah, okay, we're going to omit that. So, anyway, this means that there is a weak line all the way from here, literally, to the bottom of the transom. So, take a board and cut halfway through it and see how weak it gets as far as being able to be broken the rest of the way. So, this is getting a whole new transom. And when I build a transom, I build a real transom. So there's a couple points of interest. Number one, I measured the distance from here to here, all right? And that's a 1/2 inch of where there should be transom. There is no transom. Now, I'm not too worried about this level here, but I am worried about the wood level. Now, there's a piece that's got to have some room for a radius that goes on here, okay? There's a trim piece. So that's fine, because that trim piece radius would be at the outer edge of this boat. No longer going to be putting the big aluminum plate in here, but we are going to put a artsy stainless plate the width of the transom. And all these holes are going to get dug out on the inside. So these are all going to be covered anyway. So you really don't have to do much, but when this is open, I'm going to take and all these are going to get core filled with fiberglass, and that's how that's going to go. We'll put a new plug in once we get it all put back together and all that fun stuff. And the beauty is that I'll be able to do that. But there's some things I need to do before we even get this far. I want to do some fitment on the motor. I want to get at least part of the motor put on the back of this boat to get some fitment things done, which I'll show you what motor we picked and where the direction we're going with all that, because it's really going to be the stellar piece. My motors put out a lot of torque, let's just put it that way. So it's a special engine being custom crafted for him on this boat, which led to a whole new and improved thing. And I said, my God, you got so much weight back here in the tail, you know, I mean, it's just going to be butt heavy on the back. You may consider going to a forward fuel cell. And so that pretty much got proved as of today as well. There's something I got to show you here too, because this is another factory oof. This thing's pulled a ton of skiers and had a really great life. And I'm amazed that it didn't just tear things to pieces. You see the flaw here? Why in the holy hell didn't the factory, number one, move these over slightly here and have them going upright versus an angle, and have them go through the transom wood like every other boat I've ever seen in my entire lifetime? Or why the hell didn't they extend the transom up here and have it go over to here? Well, guess what we're going to do? We're going to extend the transom because these holes are already pre-drilled and that's where they're happy at. But we're extending the transom over to here and up to there. So it's going to get freaking strong. A lot stronger than what it is. And that plywood right here, you can see the ends of the plywood right here. I've never seen that in my history of doing boats. I've never seen one exposed like that. They've always been encased in fiberglass, and the buck stops here with this deal. So that's how things are going. As a matter of fact, you can see the plywood all the way along the bottom right here. And this, actually, I almost ran that rod all the way through here. Maybe I did. I don't know. All I know is this is too weak to continue to go on. So we're going to split the two halves. We're going to split her. Top half comes off. And we're going to put a whole new transom in it. As of this morning, that is the new game plan. So still the same plan for the sides and the bottom. It's all going to be buffed, and we're also going to be doing something with this impact here. The impact here, I guess, was from a bad roller, and it tore the boat all to hell. So we're going to fix that. There is some wear spots on the keel, and he's concerned about it, so we're going to look into that. We don't know where we're going with that yet, but I suppose we'll be fixing it. We fixed everything else, and I don't mind blending into the white with gel coat and buffing that. That's no big deal. I'm not concerned about that. And also, if you look at this transom, if you look at how straight this edge is, how straight cut, well, it's not that straight, but how it's cut, you can see a distinctive bow to the transom. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised to find out that this is actually broken in here somewhere. When I get the top off, then I'll know for sure what happened. But there's stress cracking that's going on down in here, and that is predominantly because there's no wood up here. They didn't go all the way to the top like they should have. So this thing's constantly doing this. I don't know if you guys can see that, but just with my hand, I'm moving the transom because it's not even touching the wood. This outer piece is flexing constantly. I guess maybe you can see that. There. See that moving? No, that's not supposed to happen. It's never happened with any of the ones that I've ever built before. It's solid. Right up against this piece, butts up right against the other one. And that's the way it's going to be when this is all said and done. So, now that this has taken a direct turn to a whole different... I gotta it's so sunny I can't see my camera. This is taking a definite turn. So when I take the top half off, I'll build a jig for this to actually sit on, and I will probably do all of the spider crack repair myself here at the shop. The spider cracks that are here, because I have to do some repair to the back side of this anyway. And I will probably do the repairs to back here. Then this will look like it, when it gets back, it'll look like it never even had a motor on it, ever. So that's the direction we're going. Forward fuel cell, I gotta go try to find a triangular shaped one like I have in my alumacraft fishing boat, which is, they sell those. And then as far as the other thing that got greenlit today was fuel gauge. Is going to go probably right there, because it's right next to the power supply, so it's getting a fuel gauge, and it's getting a tach and a speedometer. So changes, lots of changes. It's too bad this thing failed. It's a lot more work, obviously, but I mean, seriously, rub rails off. It's another 75 rivets. Yes, I counted them. Another 75 rivets, and you can split the two halves. I mean, I've split boats like my Chris Craft. Actually, the boat behind it, we split that one, because the fuel cell on those is located underneath the floor, and the only way to get it out is either cut the floor to pieces, which is really a bad idea structural integrity wise, or take the rub rail off and split the two halves, which is on a 26-foot boat is a nightmare. And that red boat is a 26-foot boat. It was an ordeal, to say the least. We had to make special jigs, and you gotta, because it's weak from here, right here to right here, gets really weak. And this one here is really strong, actually. It's got a lot of bends in it, and I think it'll be just fine. But when you start talking about something that weighs over 1,000 pounds of nose weight, yeah, that's, and then the back end weighs about 400 pounds. So you got about 1,400 pounds of deck. Yeah, that's a whole different world into that. And then you got to add the windshield and the gauges and all that stuff. But by the time you get done, you've got, I'd say, probably around 6,000 pounds of boat deck to be playing with. It's not fun. Been there, done that. But several people said that's a pretty blue boat, and it really is. And it's going to be really amazing when it's done, because this is just taking a completely new and improved turn. So this video will be going down through some of the changes that are going to be made. And so that's kind of, this is the lead in for what you'll see next.